Sonic Adventure is one of those games that clearly shows its age when you play it. The camera alone is enough to make most modern gamers just steer clear, but somehow I ended up enjoying it, as rough as it is. I really, truly, actually had a good time with this game. Welcome to completion 103 of the Potato Backlog Project. Make sure you stick around to the end of the video for life's real adventure, the Tater Raider, and let's talk about Sonic Adventure. Let's start off with this little story gem. I've read a lot of people saying Sonic Adventure has one of the best stories in a Sonic game. Like, this is where it all peaked. Here is Tails telling Sonic he randomly found a Chaos Emerald on a test flight. They casually acknowledge it has unlimited power. Unlimited power. You know, the thing their nemesis is always after, and Tails' big plan for the emerald is to use it to power his airplane. I'm not going to judge people's taste in story or what they think is a really good story. Maybe they played as a kid and this stuff was just amazing to them. I don't know. But it felt right on par with every other Sonic game that I've played. The difference here was they had a ton of voice lines recorded for the characters, but the premise of stop Dr. Robotnik from doing whatever evil thing he wanted to do, that hasn't changed here. Originally released for the Sega Dreamcast in late 1998, Sonic Adventure was the first true foray into 3D gaming for Sonic the Hedgehog. This was a landmark game for the character, and Sega's direct answer to the success of Nintendo's Super Mario 64, which had released a couple years prior. Sonic Adventure is rough around the edges when played today. I played the re-release on Xbox 360. I read there's a PC version which has mods to correct and fix a bunch of the issues, but I don't have that version. This is the one I own, so this is the one I played. The camera is the #1 issue the game has for me. Coming in second is the design of the overworld or the hub world. Let's ignore all the collision detection issues, the funny animations, the pacing and weird cuts of some of the story cinematics, all the rough stuff that was mostly due to technical limitations of the time. We forgive those here for the most part because it's the overall experience of playing the game that matters the most. The camera being bad kind of makes sense. This is also something that didn't age well from Mario 64. These systems didn't exist in those days. They had to be made from scratch. Creating a brand new game look and feel that also had to feel like it played and belonged within the same universe of the character and the games that came before it, that's not an easy feat, but everything has to start somewhere. Sega did seem to take some lessons from the Mario 64 camera issues. They try a lock-on camera perspective in some areas, so it just kind of follows Sonic left and right, so it can't really get lost or get in any trouble, but a massive portion of the levels have it freely moving along with Sonic. And when you add speed and platforming to that situation, it just didn't have the precision needed to deliver a really smooth gaming experience. I could deal with a little bit of jank or having it not feel real smooth to reposition, but the big issue for me was it constantly looking at something you didn't need to look at. It was always staring at the ground or at Sonic on a wall when what you needed to see was behind the camera. You needed to see where you needed to go to play the level. I won't go any further into it, but it wasn't good. And the fact that Sega just hasn't remade and rebuilt this game from the ground up is a damn tragedy. It's 2024. Remake this damn game, Sega. The overworld or the hub world is my second biggest issue with the game. The game and the story are driven by completing levels that you find and unlock within the overworld itself. Unfortunately, finding and unlocking these levels was very unintuitive. Even though there are some hints available, with the camera issues, exploring the overworld to find the places you needed to go just became very frustrating at times. It wasn't very fun or interesting. Once I actually did get into levels, I was happy. The music, the visuals, the level designs, and all the ideas they packed in are just really great. It feels like they really let loose and just put a ton of stuff into each one of these levels. Controls could be a little problematic at times, but most of it was linked back to the camera issues, not the actual control scheme or the feel. Everything felt well thought out inside of the levels. Some of the levels are even reworked for multiple playthroughs with the other characters you unlock. When you start the game, you're given the option to select Sonic the Hedgehog. You'll then eventually unlock Tails, Knuckles, Amy, a robot, and a big blue dude with a fishing pole. Each of these characters has its own adventure and levels. Not as many levels as Sonic, but if you want to see the true ending, you will need to play through all of them, plus a little secret thing at the end. It's a secret, so I'm not gonna tell you. The unlockable characters also each have their own different abilities, so trying them out after you unlock them was a pretty fun time and added a ton of replayability to the game. I've tried to play Sonic Adventure a few times over the years, even at a friend's house on the old school Dreamcast. The overworld design and the camera always ended up getting the best of me, so I'm really happy I finally stuck it out and got into some of these levels and eventually actually completed the game. Finishing this game finally actually has me interested in Sonic Adventure 2 for the first time in my entire life. Besides Besides the rough edges, aged camera, bad overworld design, this is one of the better Sonic games I've played. And it feels a little weird saying that, because by all accounts, a game released in 1998 should have probably been toppled 100 times since then. But it's a Sonic game, what are you gonna do? 3 happy potato faces out of 5. This game won't be for everybody. Gamers of a younger generation probably aren't gonna have the patience to stick it out with some of the rough edges of the game, especially when something like Sonic Frontiers exists today. But if you love Sonic the Hedgehog, then you should play this game. There is just a ton of fun locked away in this adventure. With that, the Backlog Project rolls on. Thank you so much for watching. Be kind to yourselves and others that deserve it. We're on to the next one. We're on to the next one. Let go. Oh no. Man, do I suck. Forgot to hit record. A real YouTuber now. And you find and unlock these levels by adventuring and searching and looking around. Blah, blah, blah.